the next really great feature to have sometimes is this continuity symbol. It beeps. Now this is good when you don't really care exactly what the resistance is. You just want to know that there's a basic connection from point A to point B, and they beep. That's why that symbol is a speaker. So watch. Okay, and I believe the reading that it gives you is still resistance. So when I touch these two together, it's back to 0.4. So it's visually showing me the resistance. Audibly, I get the beep. And that's nice when you, like I said, maybe you're under a dash and you're checking wires and you're checking light bulbs and you don't care what the actual reading is exactly. You just want a quick go, no-go test. And that's that. So again, let's say you're under a dashboard, you got a wire harness in front of you, and this is something that I use a lot, continuity. Okay? You have a problem and you have a wire in front of you and you want to know if the wire that you're looking at is the same as the wire on the other end that you think is the right one. So again, audible. So I'm not really setting this up very well, but basically that's why I made this little cluster of wires here. Let me just slow down. In a car, usually the wiring harness is all different color wires, and that's to help you. But as time goes on, if people have wrapped it with electrical tape, it gets all gummy, who knows what. Sometimes people install accessories and they just have, like me back here, a spool of wire that's one color, and they're not going to spray paint the wires different colors or whatever. You just have scenarios where you need to be somewhat of an expert with your meter and diagnosing wires, okay, instead of relying on wire color. So all black wires. I have 4 wires here. Each of them are stripped on the ends. So pretend instead of this being just a short section that this is one end of the car and this is the other end of the car. Like maybe you're checking a taillight circuit, or this is passing through the firewall and you have stuff on your alternator and you're checking it inside the car. Who knows? So you're interested in this wire right here, okay? And I'm about to show you another thing with meters. Having 2 probes stinks. That's why it's really a good idea to make up or buy an alligator clip. All right. So on this field piece meter, it came with leads that just pop off like this. So I'll pop that one off, put this one in its place, and now I have a probe and I have an alligator clip. So definitely worth coming up with one of these for sure if you're going to buy a meter. So now I'm interested in this wire, and it disappears through the firewall, and here I am. I'm under the dashboard, and I have my meter, strung out to where I can't read it. Maybe it's 2 feet away from me, and I want to get some diagnosing done. I have no clue which of these 4 wires is the wire that I'm dealing with, and that's exactly what I want to know. So you just test them, and it's going to beep and tell you. And even right now in real life, I don't know. So not that one, not that one, not that one. There it is. So now I know that this circuit has continuity. And that's just a quick, in my opinion, a go, no-go test. So really, it's really great in identifying wires when your meter is spread out. They sell meters that have 20-foot leads. A power probe, for example, each probe wire is 20 feet long. So if you're working on like a trailer, on a semi-truck, or who knows, so you're talking 40 feet. Your meter's going to be 20 feet in the middle of 40 feet. So if you can, within 20 feet, if you can hear that thing beeping at you, it's very useful. Okay, so that's continuity, and that's just a really basic feature that every multimeter is going to have. Multimeter, volt ohm meter, VOM, they have all different names that guys will use, but it's a voltmeter, it's a multimeter, whatever you want to call it. Harbor Freight sells them for like $5, or you can get a free coupon. I don't care how fancy or how cheap it is. If you have the ability to check continuity, or at a minimum to check resistance, and also obviously voltage, then that's really all you need. So if you for some reason didn't want to use the continuity tester and you actually are interested in the resistance, then obviously you can get sometimes that beeping is annoying if you're not really needing it. So you can just do the same test. You hook up on one side, you come over here, and you check your wire. And now I'm actually going to be watching the meter. Again, I lost track of which is which. So we know it's not that. We know it's not that. Not that. And it's going to be that one. 0.4 to 5 ohms. Or tenths. And we know from before that 0.4 is basically perfect. That's zero as far as this goes here. So I would know that I have a good connection between those two. Now, sometimes you'll have a scenario where, I don't know, let's say we're dealing with a window switch problem, or your windows don't work on your car. Well, you have a wire harness that goes through the door, and there's that short section that goes from the door to the body, the A-pillar, and it disappears into the dashboard. And every time you open and close the door, this wire harness, which is usually enclosed in a rubber gaiter or a rubber boot or protection, if your car has 100,000 miles on it, how many times has this wire harness opened and closed with the door? Well, you're going to eventually get problems here. And this is real life. This is stuff that guys in independent shops run into probably all the time. I know I have. So you don't know. You don't know. Is the wire broken? Is the wire shorted to ground? Is the wire shorted to positive? Is it shorted to any of the wires next to it, like some of the signal wires? And so, again, this is just basics. You have to figure out. So what would you do? Let's say you pop the door panel out, or you pop the window switch out, and you see the big red wire, the big fat power wire, okay, on a domestic car, or you've bought the wire harness wiring diagram, and you know exactly which one is the power feed, and you connect to it, like I will here, boom, and then so that was power, and then you take your other lead and go to ground. Usually the door striker bolt is a good ground, right there where the door latch connects to. That's usually a good ground. Sometimes you got to hunt for a really good ground when you're dealing with window problems. Now, so what would you do? You would go to volts, okay, on your meter, and let's just say, I don't know, I'll touch it here to the pot. I think that's positive. So I got my 9-volt battery here. I'm touching it to the positive, and then let's just say we want to check it. Well, right now I have 9 volts. So on a car that would be 12 volts, and you would be good. But what if you did that same check and you had 0 volts? And you don't know where the problem is. You would go find the other end of this wire, and I'm going to cheat and just trace it right here. So you would go to the other end of this wire where it connects to a relay, or it connects to wherever it is. Disconnect that wire. And in real life, you would have a dead circuit because you just disconnected it from power, and you would check for resistance. So you would go back over here, and you would realize if you had a broken wire, it would say OL, like there's nothing there. And then you confidently can realize you need to run a new wire. Run a new wire, fix the wire, find the problem or whatever. But ultimately, you're going to be, playing with new wires. So you can get breaks in wires that cause open circuits like this. Open circuit just meaning you don't have any continuity. It's a broken wire. You're going to have shorts to ground. So let's say this power wire here if you check resistance from your power wire, 12 volts, to ground. So if I took this and on my car went to ground, and I had continuity, I had very low resistance, like 1 ohm, 2 ohms, 10 ohms, and I know that I'm dealing with a blown fuse problem. Well, that's how you know that that's how you would prove it to yourself. You would kill the circuit, remove power, but if this power wire, you're checking resistance to the ground, the door striker, and it had very low you want no continuity. You want it to say OL, like there's no connection at all. So if you had a connection, that's why your fuse is blown, and that's why the wire is going to be melted looking, and you get all kinds of problems. But anyway, those are the basic functions that you need